Hello there. Was Jesus crucified? Was Jesus crucified? Muslims and Christians are divided on this subject. It's one of the fundamental differences between Islam and Christianity. They both can't be correct. Someone is right, the other is wrong, or both are wrong. So before diving, if you are new here, kindly hit on the subscribe button such that you belong to the family, as well as on the notification bell such that whenever there is anything new, you are notified in real time. So let's dive in. Christianity holds that Jesus was crucified in Matthew chapters 27, Luke chapters 23, John chapters 19, Mark 15. They all recount the same thing with slight differences as to how Jesus was nailed to the cross by the Romans, betrayed by one of his, Judas. The Quran says the contrary. In the Surah An-Nisa 157, if you're not used to the Quran, chapters 4, the Quran, verse 157, it states that Jesus was never crucified. God just made it appear to the people who were doing the job, the ugly job. He made it seem to them that they crucified Jesus the Christ, but they didn't crucify him. They crucified another in his place. God made it seem to them that it was Jesus they were crucifying. So one thing appears similar is the fact that somebody was crucified. But the identity of the person that was crucified is why there is a problem between both leading religions. Who is right? If we use the Bible to prove the Bible, or use the Quran to prove the Quran, we will be intellectually dishonest. It's like writing a book and you are met with criticism and you use your book, chapters of your book, to justify your book. It doesn't go that way. We must go to outside sources. And we cannot use the Bible to disqualify the Quran or vice versa. Equally doesn't really make sense. It's good we analyze independent sources, but getting independent sources of that age that's going back 1,500 years or thereabout is very, very, very difficult to do. However, we could analyze some early historians like Josephus. Josephus was the leading or among the leading early historians. He mentioned that a certain Jesus was crucified by the Romans. Now, what he doesn't say, or what people do not know, because he mentions something in that light in his books, is that there were many Jesuses at the time. And even in the Bible, there are many Jesuses. There isn't one Jesus, it's not a unique name. There is Jesus Joshua. There is Jesus the high priest. There is Jesus Barabbas. There is Jesus the Christ, just to name four. So Jesus was not a unique name. There were many Jesuses. And if you read the Antiquities of the Jews, or the Jewish Wars by Josephus, you would read that tens of thousands of Jews were crucified by the Romans. Scores of Jews when the Jews were under Roman occupation. So it is highly probable that among the people that were crucified there was a Jesus. It is highly probable. It's highly probable. You can't make an argument against that because Jesus, as I said, was not a unique name. He wasn't a unique individual. So anybody, any Jesus could have been crucified at the time. So the question should rather be, Why was Jesus crucified? That is a better question. Was he crucified as others at the time were? For sedition, for insurrection, for disobedience to the Roman authorities, or crucified for the sin of the world? That would be a better debate to have. Now, Christianity and Islam are not independent religions. In a sense, they hail or they have their roots from Judaism. So, to answer that question better, we have to go to Judaism, their mother religion. What does Judaism stand for with regard to human sacrifices? Judaism is completely against human sacrifices. Completely against. Starting from the patriarch Abraham, who is the father of all the Abrahamic religions. God demands that he sacrifices his son Isaac. God wanted to see the will in him, how much faith he had in God. And when he was about to do it, God stopped him, sending a clear message to the fact that God abhors human sacrifice. And in the place of human blood, he sacrificed an animal. That's the first clear indication. Now, in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 18, the entire chapter is good. I always advise people to go through the entire chapter. But you could dwell on verses 4 and verses 20 of that chapter. You read very clearly that everybody is responsible for his or her sin. Everybody. No one can bear the consequence of the sins of another. Everybody now is responsible for his or her sin. So if Jesus was crucified, was he crucified for the sins of others? That goes contrary to the laid down principles by God himself. Everybody is responsible for his or her sin. In the teachings of Jesus, the Christ himself, he makes it clear that everybody will be judged on account of his or her sin. Those are his teachings. In the books of the Romans, the Ephesians, Paul's epistles, even though Paul goes by the I am saved doctrine, in several occasions he mentions that everyone will be judged according to his deeds. And judgment will begin in the house of God. That does not tie with Jesus dying for the sin of people. It does not tie. So, of course, it is highly probable that Jesus was crucified. Highly probable. Just from common sense. The question is, why was he crucified? If Judaism, the mother religion to Christianity, abhors human sacrifice, how can a human then be sacrificed for others? If everyone is personally responsible for his or her doings, why should people think that their deeds, the responsibility, the consequences of their deeds will be transferred to somebody else? It's like somebody drinking beer and expecting someone else to get drunk for the beer he's drinking. There are no consequences to your deeds. Somebody else carries your cross. That's one of the fundamental differences between spirituality and religion. Because people have been made to understand that there are no consequences for the things they do. Somebody else is paying the price. Meanwhile, the person said to pay the price rather tells them to repent and change from their wrongdoing, without which they will face the wrath of God. because everyone is responsible for his deeds, and they will be judged according to their deeds, not according to their faith, but according to the things that each and every one of us did while we wore flesh. So why was Jesus crucified? Should rather be the debate. And it wasn't a singular event. Tens of thousands of people were crucified. And among those people, there were surely many Jesuses crucified. We hope you enjoy our content, and if you do, we'll be glad you like, share, and comment so that the word gets out. The lives of people could be transformed through you.